In the top left of this lower bracket match, it's the red Terran, uThermal. And in the bottom right, as the blue Zerg, it's Vanya. Vanya falling to Cyril, which, you know, it's hard for anybody to beat Cyril. So no shame in that defeat. Hatch gas pool opener from Vanya. uThermal going into Reaper Expand. Okay, Vanya going for a quicker third timing. He is taking the more exposed one. uThermal scouts it with the Reaper. A nice pick on the first creep tumor for uThermal. Look at that. Frame drop issues fixed. Wonderful. Lovely. Now we can provide you with crystal clear 1080p, 60 frames a second StarCraft content. The Reaper pokes in for uThermal. Queen's gonna have to slow walk it to this third location. Creep not gonna be spread there for another couple of seconds. And it looks like uThermal wants to get out another few Hellions, getting out a Liberator as well, so we should see a Hellion attack on that third base as the Liberator enters the main. 10 more Lings coming out for the blue Zerg. There's the Hellion attack. Here comes the Liberator. Another pick on a creep tumor. Picking off creep tumors might not seem like the worst damage, but at this high a level, little bits and pieces of damage are what you can expect, right? You expect your opponent to be able to play well enough to deflect most of your attacks, so you're just looking to get like 1 drone, 2 drones from this Liberator before he pulls. 3 is like a bounty as that spore finishes. 4, oh man, it's like Thanksgiving dinner. Vanya attempted a 10-ling assault on this wall, splashed into the CC, didn't break through. Six drones. 7 even. Fall to this Liberator in total. Stim, 10 seconds away from finishing. +1 missile, +1 carapace for Vanya. Couple seconds of peace. Hit Nightshade as Vanya clears up the rocks, and uThermal moves out for a 2 medevac drop to cancel Vanya's 4th. Liberator sees the 4th, is going to shark into the main, try and pull some of Vanya's queens and units out of position. Possibly. Vanya should see the time on the clock and know exactly what's happening. No, Vanya pulls the Lings towards the main. The attack is on the 4th, and a lot of health shaved off. It does get canceled. Vanya gonna get the surround, pick off quite a few of Marines, making them pay. Queen takes down the Lib, but not before Vanya takes 9 drones in losses. Vanya knocking down more rocks to open up an attack path. I mean, uThermal's totally prepared for this already. Vanya's going to try this side, see that there's no 4th. Supply depot is going to provide a wall. But also when they die, they are going to supply block uThermal. uThermal, I think I give uThermal the edge in this engagement, as long as he plays it correctly. Doesn't want to let those Ravagers in on the tank. Only 1 bile connecting with the tank. uThermal holding strong here. Vanya going for +2 carapace, +1 melee behind this. Our Terran going to have +2 quite soon. Vanya chooses to back off. A 2 Hellbat drop. Sharking around to this 4th location. Vanya moving out to take a 5th. Okay, Vanya actually missed a volley from the Roach Ravager here. I think it's going to be okay, though. Oh, he is going to back off, actually. Taking some extra shots. Only 1 bile connects with the tanks. He does pick off a medevac, though. Marines trying to take on this 3rd. The Hellbat drop behind this picks off 8 drones. And is still alive, actually. Medevac is, anyway. I feel like Vanya had that engagement and then just took too many extra shots. Okay. Vanya catches more of the medevacs with bile, but there's still so many in the air. And these Marines going to trade very efficiently with the Roach Ravager, especially since +2 carapace hasn't quite finished. It's going to be 15 seconds away. Enough Marines, enough tank to clean up here, and uThermal puts the first point on the board. I am going to do an ad reel very quickly because we did miss it after the previous series due to my technical difficulties. So we will be right back with game number 2.
On Intel Extreme Master Certified PCs, you'll find a gold badge. It means you'll find brilliance inside, that you'll get high-grade components like Intel Core i7 and i9 processors that'll deliver the uncompromised performance you need to game like a pro. Not to mention, every purchase supports the prize pool of Intel Extreme Masters. Intel, unleash your brilliance.
In the top left, as the blue Zerg, it's Vanya. In the bottom right, as the red Terran, it's uThermal. You've seen Vanya before in a few SCV rushes, always placing reasonably well. Hatch gas pool once again from Vanya. Yeah, Vanya going for the Roach Ravager play in game number 1. Almost taking the game just during the engagement on the ramp toward, like, you know, toward uThermal's death push. Missed a Roach Volley. You kind of need to, like, stutter step in. You move in, stutter step once, and then move forward, drop the bile, and engage from there. That was a lot of extra damage that wasn't done by Vanya. It's a really subtle thing, but it did eventually cost him the game. You could say, you know, every missed Corrosive Bile is also potential damage lost, but Corrosive Bile actually really hard to control, right? You launch it to the best of your ability, try to preempt your opponent, but then the ball's in your opponent's court to dodge that, and uThermal did a great job doing so. Roach Ravager also scales very poorly against Marines. Tanks, you know, as long as the Marines can shield for the tanks do the real damage to those clustered Roaches, to those clustered Ravagers. And Vanya also engaging in the previous game at an upgrade disadvantage. So during that entire end game engagement, he was fighting against +2 attack Marines with only +1 Carapace. uThermal, once again, picking off the first creep tumor. Vanya already has a third down. So gonna be just fine for now. Vanya poking away the Hellions. uThermal moves in. Queens very well spread to deflect this. There are enough lings to engage this. The Liberator swooping around once again. Overlords are going to see this, giving Vanya time to position the queens. He is going to do so immediately. It looks like the Liberator might just go into the natural. Indeed he is. Already a queen in position to poke on. Already a spore down, so uThermal going into the main. It's like he keeps buying plane tickets, right? But already half the damage done on this Liberator. Oh, the queen is in range. He's going to win the intense micro battle. In the meantime, Hellions tried to poke in. They didn't find any damage. Still, these queens from the third moving in to deflect them. Enough lings are here to get a wraparound, but uThermal too quick on the micro. Vanya trying to corner these guys in, but they are going to pick off another creep tumor before they head back. In the meantime, the Terran is getting out more Marines, more tanks. Third CC morphing into an orbital for uThermal here. Vanya has a fourth dropped. This is a little bit of an earlier fourth timing, but given uThermal's earlier third CC, this is totally reasonable response here from Vanya. When the Terran goes 3 CC, you gotta either be thinking about that fourth or thinking about an attack. And Vanya clearly going for the more macro play, getting a Spire behind this 1-1 as well as Baneling speed for the Zerg, +1 armor and weapons for the bio, as well as combat shields for uThermal. Now, the Spire is still early enough from Vanya to be for a Muta switch. And those Muta could still hit and make it across the map quick enough to pick off combat shields if they're timed, like, perfectly. Maybe. "15 seconds on Baneling speed. Vanya has enough of a creep shield, at least on these first 3 bases, that he's not going to worry about defending for a while. You know, Biotank isn't going to want to go too far in on that creep unless Vanya has like an abortive attack where he loses his entire army and the Terran's like, I'm going to hit you before you remax. So you're streaming the reinforcements into me. It is not going to be a Muta play here from Vanya, just getting that Spire so he can get up to +2 weapons when the Broodlords come out. Thank you so much for the follow, Tommy Gun 206. Really appreciate it. uThermal sending the Marine tank in. Unfortunately, it's going to take him a little while to push in toward this third. He's going to pick off a couple tumors, wait for the creep to clear, go in, pick off more creep tumors, but Vanya already replacing it. Muta and the Overlord go down. The Mutaflock should be able to pick off the Medevac and these Marines as they drop. Minimal losses. In the meantime, uThermal still can't push in here. There's still too much creep. He did get a cancel on this attempted 5th from Vanya. uThermal rallying to the Xel'Naga. Vanya is going to poke in with some Muta. Hive Tech is on the way for our Blue Zerg. Ooh, picks off the missile turret quite nice. That does give him an angle here. I think this missile turret can still hit, like, out to here. So Vanya not going to be able to tag onto that CC, do any more harass. He is going to pull back and try to hit these tanks with the Muta, but uThermal, his big brain Terran, leaves a lot of the Marines behind to defend those tanks. And Vanya is going to have some trouble engaging this. He's backing up, letting the hash tank damage. Okay, he thinks he can break in here, but there's still reinforcements defending the tank line. It will be just enough to break. Oh no, the Muta's focusing the medevacs, not the tanks. And that means uThermal's reinforcements will get here in time to defend. Oh, picking out the Banelings as well. His third location under heavy fire. GG is called, and uThermal takes the victory 2-0 over Vanya.